Axolins. Axolins are a very rare species of aquatic freshwater amphibians that can breathe underwater and on land. Thanks to their external gills, they are one of the very select group of aquatic species that are deemed to be of high enough intellectual prowess to be considered a sentient race, regardless of their extremely low population. They are relatively tall species, averaging at about 6.5 feet tall and weigh around 150 to 200 pounds. They have a relatively shorter lifespan than most sentient beings on Tellurian, averaging at about 45 years. However, to make up for this, they hit maturity quite fast, becoming fully developed adults at around 11 years of age. Despite that, their numbers are extremely scarce, estimated to only be in a couple of hundreds. They are very protective of their lake, as it's one of the few remaining bodies of freshwater unpolluted by radiation and the like. Very few outsiders have been granted access to their stronghold, as they are extremely untrusting of any other species. They essentially have a long-standing no-visitor policy in an attempt to protect their small species and their fragile ecosystem. A lovely place, but a story for another time. The rooms for rent were incredibly nice with enormous waterbeds. Unfortunately, I may be the only outsider and lucky enough to have experienced it, 8 out of 10. Because of this, its exact location is not commonly known, though it is located somewhere in the southern peninsula of the northern continent. Yes, I know where. No, I won't divulge that information. They appear in a variety of shades of skin tones, though they primarily tend to be olive green or light pink in hues. They also may possess spotted patterns, freckles, and any other coloring features. There is a common misconception among the other races that pink and green color schemes denote gender. This is entirely unfounded speculation, though the confusion is somewhat understandable. From an outsider's perspective, it can be extremely difficult to tell the males from the females, as members of their species tend to relatively similar heights and pose no commonly associated gender-defining traits or even different-sounding voices. Their names are also uncommon among the majority of Tellurians and are not given based on gender. If you want to know the gender of an Axolin you are speaking with, don't be rude and just ask, dumbass. Because members of their species are so rare, I wouldn't be surprised if the majority of people live their entire lifetime without encountering one. If you see one out and about in any major civilization, you better believe they probably have a damn good reason for doing so. Most of the time, it might be a handful of fighters who have taken on a pilgrimage out into the world looking for work. All the ones I've met, possibly around 7, not including those I met at the lake, obviously, were looking to score big and bring the money back home. If you ever see one hanging around taverns or guilds, you should consider hiring one if you're looking for some extra muscle. Axolins tend to be extremely skilled combatants, as they possess remarkable physical strength. Their culture prefers weapons with some reach, such as spears, tridents, or halberds, though it is not entirely unheard of for Axolins to possess some magical abilities as well. They also have remarkable regenerative abilities, able to grow back limbs in a matter of days. There have been scarce reports of Axolins being able to regenerate limbs immediately in the middle of combat. This is either an entirely fabricated account or an extremely rare feat that some may be able to accomplish. One would imagine that achieving such a feat, if possible, would come with the considerable drawbacks, of course. Axolins can't fully regrow from anything, and like most species, won't survive a full decapitation. A partial decapitation, on the other hand, well, if they're very lucky and well protected during the lengthy recovery, it might be possible, in theory.